r/the10thDentist. Spark Darks says, life isn't for everyone, and everyone should have access to assisted suicide. It's baffling how we are forced into an existence we didn't ask for, subject to random circumstances and an unfair system, subject to suffering, and then expected to endure it all until the very end. The truth is that life isn't for everyone. Not everyone is willing to endure the hardships existence brings. Not everyone cares about the things that life has to offer. Not everyone is content with living in the horrible system that society has created. There are likely millions of people enduring suffering who would readily choose to end their lives, but they are hindered by the fear of pain or unsuccessful attempts. This wouldn't be an issue if assisted suicide were an option. People could leave this horrible place peacefully. No one would have to live as mentally/physically disabled person because of a failed attempt. No one would be traumatized by seeing a corpse lying in a garage. We didn't sign a contract consenting to play this game. If I forced you to do something you don't enjoy doing, you'd probably quit midway through. That can be said for basically any human. The same thing applies to suicide. If someone doesn't want to participate in this cruel and pointless game, then they should have the right to quit via euthanasia. I'm not going to comment on whether or not they should quit. I'm just saying that they should have the right to quit. And age shouldn't be a factor in this either. Whether they're 15, 45, 18, doesn't matter. No one asked to play this game. Station Crew says, I agree with this, except that it would absolutely be corrupted and imposed on people who don't need it by predatory business people, which is the only reason I'm 100% against it. Rivermaster32 says, it's kinda the reverse of the death sentence. Are there people who probably deserve it? Yes, but it's a system that cannot exist without mass corruption and misuse. Volcanosheep26 says, there's also the fact that life can change for the better. I was in a very bad place in my 20s and would have 100% taken assisted suicide. Move on 10 years and I've gotten past a lot of those issues and consider myself to be stronger for it. If I'd taken my life, I'd never have met my partner, never made the friends I now have, or taken up the hobbies that bring so much fun into my life, etc, etc. Taking your life is a very permanent thing. Mike the 0 Miles says, you see, people who dislike living are some of the most important people alive. They are the ones who fight for change and usually know the ins and outs of the systems they're in and how they would like them changed. If they all died and we were left with those fine with the way life is, I believe we would simply stop striving for a better future. This is without stating that all of this is smothered in eugenics. Instead of creating a better society that includes everyone, why not let them kill themselves instead? I get your point about some people simply not liking life, but most don't like life because society hasn't been adapted to their needs. We don't have to live in capitalism, we don't have to go to school, we don't have to work until we die. But only if the people who hate this stay alive and fight for change. A singular person who hates life won't do much, but multiple will. r/the10thDentist. Spaghetti Children says, mammals are vastly overrated and not nearly as cute or interesting as other types of animals like insects and fish. We are so overrepresented in animal media like documentaries and art. There are only 6,500 species of mammals, yet when you ask an average person to name 50 animals, most of they would probably list would be mammals. There are over 1 million species of insects alone. Insects and arthropods are prettier, cuter, and have more interesting lives. Mammals are just 4 legs and hair in different configurations, for the most part. I understand things like kittens are cute, but in my opinion animals like millipedes and beetles are significantly cuter, and almost nobody talks about them. I like the weird mammals like bats and whales though. They're chill. No hate to mammals, I just think there are more interesting groups of animals that deserve the spotlight. Siam says, finding your young cute is an evolutionary adaptation to help ensure adults care for their children. Young mammals often share characteristics with human young, and so they invoke the same feeling. If you find insects cute, and I hate to be the one who breaks it to you, it means you are part insect. My condolences. Sunny Youngpoot 2 says, shout out to the herping community as well. Grizzly Girl says, upvote BC, I hate this opinion. I think fish are so boring, and insects are only second place in that category. Advanced Horror 2292 says, mammals have more advanced brains and are more similar to humans. Mint Legend Rich says, the only way insects and fish are interesting is if a famous British man narrates their lives and an editing crew adds fun music and sound effects. Technical Hot Dog says, incredible 10th dentist post. Kikiiu says, how is an animal that doesn't give a shit that I'm alive cuter than a dog who gets excited just seeing me walk into a room? Grinning says, downvoted because spiders alone are fascinating. Don't get me started on fish. r/the10th dentist. Monocronto says, I'm not a flat earther, but I wish the earth is flat. I don't believe flat earthers for a second, but I secretly wish that they're completely right about our planet's shape. I just think it would be so cool to live on a completely flat surface surrounded by an ice wall. Sikosara says, I mean, if you had your choice of fantastical geography, why pick just a flat surface? Why not a ring-shaped earth, where we could partly see other land masses in the sky, floating islands? There's so much cool shit from the human imagination. Just go buck wild. Satin Splash says, a Halo-type planet would honestly be so cool to live on. Just seeing the curvature of the planet rise in the horizon. Freddy Zero says, downvote because I also would love for that to suddenly get discovered. Yeah, it physically can only be round. Yes, we have a million facts that prove it's round. But imagine how absolutely funny it would be if it turned out it wasn't tomorrow. The science world would be in shambles. Turns out we don't know shit. Flat earthers arguing with sane people with their still stupid arguments, etc. Nocaterpillar 2051 says, I've never thought about it, but yeah, sure. Might be interesting. Rat Lest Away says, I prefer spheres and circles shapes. It's more satisfying. The Elite Operator says, if that was reality, that wouldn't be cool. That would just be normal life and you would make the same post saying you wish the earth was round. Grass is greener on the other side. r/the10th dentist. Unauthorized Edford says, rollerblading should be allowed indoors. I could get my shopping done in half the time at the mall and the grocery store. It's also a huge hassle to have to switch from blades into shoes before entering the store. I should be able to just cruise down to the mall, get my shopping done, and head back home. Zeige says, upvoted, even if I accept that you are a skilled rollerblader, this is just gonna open the floodgates for bad rollerbladers crashing into everything and everyone. Welpmut says, the frick, you should be. I love rollerblading, but I would not want to be a pedestrian in a grocery store with a rollerblader. Spaces are tight, displays easily knocked over, people oblivious as they scour the shelves, and there are frequently spills to track about. It's just not a good place for rollerblading. It's also a place where you get kids and the elderly, so unpredictable, low profile moving targets, and generally fragile folks. Also, how inconvenient is it really? Sit down, take off blades, take out shoes, put on shoes, put away blades. At the end of the trip, repeat but the other way around. Synthsurf says, agree, and Mammals have the best floors for blading. Jzilican says, I agree, with caveats. Not all buildings should allow it, and those that do, should have dedicated pathways to do, so similar to how public parks often have separated walking and bike paths. r/the10thDentist. My feeling Sarah Fax says. It's immature to think farts aren't funny. From a long foghorn of a fart to a little toot, a fart is almost never not funny. Sure, if they stink it can be gross and mildly irritating, if it's not your fart that you're smelling, but a lot of the time they don't stink. Many farts are more like queefs, air gets trapped in your intestine as you digest, and makes a funny sound as it expels from your butthole. It happens to some people more than others. A lot of people will act grossed out by a fart, before they even know if it's gonna stink, and look at you funny when you laugh. It's ironic to me when someone like this says grow up. I have a firm belief that part of maturity is realizing that life is, I'm bonkers. I feel like there's a blockage in the brains of people who don't laugh at farts because it's immature or childish, and childish, it may be. However, I think a truly mature person understands that nourishing our childlike qualities leads to a better quality life. The most level-headed people I know aren't easily fazed and laugh far more than they grimace. The more mature you are, the less repressed you are, and a good first step to being less repressed is laughing at farts and fart jokes. Hell, just the word fart. It's a great word. Fart. On top of all that, not laughing at fart jokes is a gateway to not laughing at other jokes. Grimacing is an addiction, and eventually you're too mature for everything silly. We all know at least one person like this. Maturity isn't having a stick up your ass. The most mature person is one that takes care of their duties, and laughs at farts. Internationalist says. I mean, there's the flip side of it where it's just normal bodily function. Like, I'm not going to grimace or look down on anyone laughing at a fart, but the humor of it is pretty much all about the taboo of it. If it's not that much of a taboo in your household, then it just ends up being just a normal thing, not a hilarious one. Slurp Jill says. I laugh pretty often. My dad farts loudly and nearly constantly. He will literally stop talking mid-sentence to strain and fart. I don't think there is anything funny about it. I think it's annoying and, I'm disgusting. One time he got offended that I picked up his underwear by the waistband with my fingertips, but it's not my fault he nearly shits his pants every day. Urine Therapy Miracle says. My father expected everyone to hold their farts and release them in the bathroom. That's what he did. But by the time he went in, they would be so built up that you could still hear it throughout the house. Pink Chizzy says. Everyone is so uptight in the comments, must be tiring holding in your farts all day. Honestly, I'd be better too. Zakpa says. I hate farts and think they should be a private bodily function. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.